Hi students, welcome everyone. Today I will tell you the fundamental aspects of application of fluorescence spectroscopy in RT-PCR and identification of novel coronavirus 19. So here, first and foremost thing is you need to know the fundamentals of fluorescence. So in the fluorescence, a fluorophore, that is a molecule which is a fluorescent in nature, upon irradiation with an excitation wavelength, the molecule excites with the incident light to a higher energy state, and while returning back to the ground state, it releases some amount of photons or energy, or in terms of some amount of fluorescence. This fundamental is called as a fluorescence. You can even get back to the fundamentals of fluorescence from my lecture of fluorescence spectroscopy. Further, you need to know one more concept called as quenching of fluorescence. What is quenching? Is prohibiting the fluorescence to exhibit a fluorescence is called as a quenching. Now quenching is again two types. One is static quenching, another one is a dynamic quenching. Static quenching is that a quencher binds to the fluorophore, thereby inhibiting the fluorescence to exhibit, that is transition from the ground state to excited state, thereby releasing some photons. That step is inhibited. Such type of quenching is called as a static quenching. Whereas dynamic quenching, where the quencher interacts with the excited fluorophore, causing the excited fluorophore to return back to its ground state without emitting any fluorescence. Such type of quenching is called as a dynamic quenching. These are all fundamentals you can see from my earlier lectures of fluorescence spectroscopy, emissions, and various spectroscopy lectures are available in the literature. Now today we are seeing the on-off fluorescence spectroscopic method in identification of novel coronavirus genome and its identification of infected people. So for that, you need to know there is a method called RT-PCR method, that is polymerase chain reaction and reverse transcriptase method in quantification of the virus or coronavirus in infected people can be detected by RT-PCR. For that, you have a Tachman probe. This Tachman probe is the fundamental in complete RT-PCR method, which uses fluorescence as a technique. Now here, what exactly the Tachman probe contains is, the Tachman probe contains an fluorophore. So I am showing it as a colored one, fluorophore, which is binded with a quencher in its vicinity. Now this Tachman probe, what happens exactly is, this Tachman probe binds to the DNA which is transcribed from the RNA of the virus. Now what happens is, there are two strands of DNA. I will detail explain. Now what happens, there are two strands of DNA are separated. The Tachman probes binds specifically to the viral genome at complementarity. After binding, the DNA polymerase, what it does, it attaches nucleotides specific from 3' to 5' end. This is your 3' end and this is your 5' end. Now the DNA polymerase, once it keeps on moving, due to its endonuclease activity, it cleaves the fluorophore. Now what happens, the fluorophore which is present earlier with the quencher, this quencher is inhibiting the fluorophore to exhibit its fluorescence. Now this quencher is free, so the fluorescence is free from the quencher, so now the fluorescence is freely exhibited. This technique is called as on-off method of fluorescence spectroscopy. What does it mean? We are converting a off gate to an on gate. What is off gate? Because the fluorophore earlier was binded to quencher, which is inhibiting the fluorescence activity, that is fluorescence quantum yield. Now upon cleaving the fluorophore from the quencher, the fluorescence is free enough to exhibit fluorescence. Such type of technique is called as on-off fluorescence gated technique. So let us see all these fundamentals which are involved in RT-PCR. First and foremost thing is, if an subject or any individual who is infected with novel coronavirus reports with some symptoms. The symptoms includes dry cough, fever above 105 degrees centigrade, as well as there are several clinical manifestations to identify the patients of novel coronavirus, because it attacks the secondary pneumocytes, thereby causing dry cough, where the ACE inhibitor is inhibited, so that you increase the more amount of dry cough is because of the bradykinin pathway is inhibited, so you will be more amount of dry cough is generated, thereby you have a high fever, possibly it may even progress the high amount of intensity of light is this is the fundamental information. So let us see how exactly this affects the our way of screening the patients. Now a patient comes, you collect nasopharyngeal swab, which is having the viral infected virus. So it is transferred into an sterile tube which is having a viral transport medium. This is the first fundamental. Now this should be done in aseptic, and generally the sample collection should be done in a glow box, so that you have only your hands towards the patient and you inside a glow box with your hands to be separation of this virus. Once this the sample is collected, here the first most part is this sample you can treat it as two ways. One is either it is a blank which do not have virus, or it may have virus, because you are testing it. You don't know whether it has a virus or not. Assume that it has virus. Once it has virus, you need to convert the virulent to avirulent. For that, what you use is you add denaturants. Now what the denaturants do is, generally the denaturants are phenol, guanidine thiocyanate, and RNA inhibitors. See, you need to know why we are using this, because the phenol is a disinfectant which converts the virulent to avirulent stain, which by destructing the virus particles. Guanidine thiocyanate, this also destructs all the protein particles of the virus. RNA inhibitors, you need to know that the novel coronavirus, the genome is single stranded RNA, which is very larger in length. So for that we use inhibitors, so that any traces amount of RNAs present along with the single stranded RNA should be removed. For that we use RNA inhibitors. So once we add all these things, what happens? The complete virulent strain is converted into a avirulent strain, and there is a process of lysis. So here the final tube contains your single stranded RNA proteases, via surface proteins, as well as RNAs, as well as buffers, etc. These are fundamental information. Now you need to separate the single stranded RNA from all the other stuff. For that, what you do is you take an solid phase extractor. First and foremost thing is you need to know what is solid phase extractor. Solid phase extractor is a stationary phase which contains either silica or cellulose or alumina or any other stationary phase, which is even more complex stationary phase like Cepadex or any other things are available in the literature. So you take that stationary phase. Generally I am explaining in terms of your I am explaining in terms of your silica gel. So now here silica gel is present. Now you pass your solution which contains single stranded RNA and other all lysed particles of your protein components onto the solid state medium, and you will perform vortex mixing. After vortex mixing, what happens? The single stranded RNA binds to the silica gel particles, and all other viral components are expected to separate out from the mixture. This is the fundamental information. After completion of this step, you will go for second step called as wash media. Why we are using this wash media also you need to know. This wash media will exclude any remnants which are present along with the single stranded RNA. Once this is being removed, this is transferred into another cell, that solid phase medium is transferred to another cell. Thereby you pass elution solvent. This elution solvent will separate the single stranded RNA from the solid phase. So your single stranded RNA is now available for RT-PCR method. This is the fundamental step. The next step, now we will perform RT-PCR method. Here you have a single stranded RNA. Now you generate the complementary DNA for your RNA by using reverse transcription. Such method is called as RT-PCR method. For that, you require several components of RT-PCR. Let us see what are all they. The first component is your reverse transcriptase. First component is your reverse transcriptase. Second one is your nucleotides. Third one is your forward primer. Fourth one is your reverse primer. And the last one is DNA polymerase. This is the fundamental information you need to know before starting any RT-PCR method. And further, you need to know one more thing, that whatever your single stranded RNA from your novel coronavirus, it is identified with the help of either M gene or E gene or various the ORFLAP A or B, and there are several other sequential sequence techniques to identify the viral genome. So generally you need to know what are the characteristics of viral genome particles present in that. So let us see some other aspects of RT-PCR. So once you add your single stranded RNA into the solution which contains all these components, 4 components, what are those? Reverse transcriptase, nucleotides, forward primer, reverse primer, and one more thing you have forgot, that is your fluorophore and quencher, and final one is your DNA polymerase. These are all fundamental things you need to know before starting. Now, once your RT-PCR, you transfer the solution onto an well plate, that is 96 well plate. This is your 96 well plate for RT-PCR, where you transfer your solution of single-stranded RNA and all the other requirements for RT-PCR. And you need to know this RT-PCR works on a method of thermocycler. What do you mean by thermocycler is, it is temperature dependent, where you program the temperature so that you activate something and deactivate something. Suppose the temperature generally contains its 95 degrees centigrade to 65 degrees centigrade. So once you do the 95 degrees centigrade, what happens? There is a inhibition of reverse transcriptase, and once you increase the temperature to 95 degrees centigrade, there is inhibition of your reverse transcriptase as well as activation of your DNA polymerase. So this is the fundamental thing you need to know. What is thermocycling? That means there is a cycle of activation of DNA polymerase and inactivation of reverse transcriptase at 95 degrees centigrade. Again, once you cool back to 65 degrees centigrade, what happens? There is an annealing method. That is what is attachment of various nucleotides to the strands. This is the fundamental information of thermocycling, which is you need to know before starting any of the RT-PCR method. So here, what happens? The single-stranded RNA of your virus. Now your reverse transcriptase specific primers bind to this reverse transcriptase specific primers bind to the viral RNA. Now after binding, the DNA polymerase attach nucleotides to the primer. Now what happened? There is a process of elongation. Now once there is elongation, you generally create a DNA complementary to RNA. Now DNA and this is your RNA. This is complementary strand is produced by chain elongation method. After this, you increase the temperature to 85 degrees centigrade. So once you increase the temperature to 85 to 95 degrees centigrade, again the temperature depends upon type of RNA, type of DNA polymerase, type of primers used in the technique. This is the fundamental information you need to know before any RT-PCR. Now once you increase the temperature, what happens? There is separation of strand of DNA from RNA. Now once your DNA strand is separated from RNA, now the DNA strand is coupled with 3' primer and 5' primer. Now these primers elongate on from both sides, thereby generating a double-stranded DNA. Now you have a double-stranded DNA from a single-stranded RNA. Yeah, this is your double-stranded DNA from your. Now again you increase your temperature to 85 to 95 degrees centigrade. Now there is two strands of DNA get separated. Now once your two strands of DNA get separated, here comes the picture of your fluorescence. What exactly happens here is a 3' primer attached to one end, 5' primer attached to another end, and here a Tachman probe attached to the specific sequence of your DNA, which contains fluorophore as well as quencher. Now what happens? The fluorescence does not exhibited because of the presence of quencher in the vicinity. This type of quenching is called static quenching. When the 5' DNA polymerase elongates due to its endonuclease activity, the fluorophore is getting cleaved. Now the fluorophore, which is free from the quencher, is free enough to exhibit fluorescence. Now millions of copies of this single stranded and double stranded DNA have been generated. Now there is an increased fluorescence intensity from a smallest amount of sample. Such technique where we use on-off gated RT-PCR, which is binding with fluorescence, is the fundamental information of identification of novel coronavirus 19. However, the RT-PCR method is very expensive, so the RT-PCR method is supplemented with a rapid antibody based test. So this is the fundamental application of fluorescence in RT-PCR method. Hope you understand, and if you like my lectures, subscribe and share among your friends. Thank you.